This video is made possible by a grant from the Educational Video Fund of Esperanto, USA. For more information, check out the link in the video description below. Hi there, today we're going to raise a glass to all the words in Esperanto that would be translated into some form of glass in English. A looking glass, a spyglass, magnifying glass, you name it. In English, yeah, we rely on the word glass a lot. It wears a lot of hats. We can drink from a glass, we can look through the glass. But in Esperanto, we have a lot of standalone words that we need to separate because they don't have multiple jobs. They all just do their one thing. So let's start with the word for a glass that you would use in the kitchen. And that one is very simple to remember. It's Glaso. Glaso is the word for a glass. It's also the word for its contents, a glass and or the stuff inside the glass. For example, I could say, mi levis la glason, kai trinkis la glason. Now, if I say that, I'm not crushing this piece of drinking ware and then pouring shards of glass down my throat. No, I'm saying the liquid inside, the wine, let's say, the water that is in the glass, I'm drinking. So, yes, it can mean both the object and its contents. We could specify and say, mi levis la glason por vino. It's a glass designated for wine. And I drank the glass of wine. A glass's amount of wine. We could add the divino in there, but we don't need that. So that is the only use of glaso. We don't say, oh, la glaso della fenestro. You don't say the glass of the window. Why would a window have a drinking glass in it? No, for glass as a substance, as a material, you would say vitro. Vitro is glass in the more general sense. In vitro, as we say in English, is a way to say, well, in glass, from Latin is what we're borrowing that from. In vitro fertilization means it's not happening inside of the human body, it's happening in a glass beaker in a laboratory. So that's where we get that phrase. It's happening inside of glass. Vitro estas travidebla. Glass is see-through. All right. Vitraĵoj, glass things, glass part of something. Sort of think of it like bovo is cow, bovaĵo is beef. It's the substance of the cow. Similarly, you might find in some old literature, li rompis la vitraĵon della fenestro. He broke the glass stuff in the window or of the window. Sometimes you'd see rompis la vitron, but you will see vitraĵon too. And also vitraĵoj could be, glass devices or objects in a laboratory, let's say, or maybe if you do glass art, vitrarto, you might have little glass objects that are kind of hard to define, just vitraĵoj, you know, the aĵoj da vitro. I just realized that I forgot to add a word in vitro, or in the vitro section. So let's stick it in there. Vitralo is the word for a stained glass window. The way to remember that vitralo means a stained glass window is this. Vitro, catedralo. Catedralo is the word for cathedral. So, la vitro en catedralo estas vitralo. The glass in a cathedral is stained glass windows. That's one way to remember. Another way to think about it is this. Catholic churches back in the day, they didn't let everyone go home with their own little Bible. There was one Bible chained to the pulpit where the priest would read to everyone else. But the people, for the most part, weren't literate. They didn't read. So how were they going to learn all their Bible stories? David and Goliath, Daniel and the lion's den. How do you learn about that? Well, they would use stained glass window paintings of, oh, okay, that's what the crucifixion looked like. Or, oh, okay, that's what Moses, parting the Red Sea looked like. So the vitro allowed the people to understand the Bible. So vitralo. The vitro allowed it. Vitralo, if that helps you. So vitralo is stained glass window. Okulvitroj is the word for eyeglasses. Pretty easy to remember. Okulo is eye, vitro is glass, so eyeglasses. And note, you say them plurally here. Oh, li, or she surmetis okulvitrojn kai legis libron. She put on eyeglasses and read a book. It's important to note the plurality there because we have another one coming up in 2 seconds that isn't plural. Next we have monoklo, a monocle. Now, unless you're describing Mr. Peanut, you're probably not going to use the word monocle very often, but I tell you it because we're also learning the big brother of monoklo, and that is binoklo, binoculars, or more accurately, Binoklo means a set or pair of binoculars. This is a word sort of like pantalono is to pants. We say, oh, can I have some pants? Well, you really just need one pair of pants, right? You don't need two things of Levi's. So we just have to remember, oh, it's pantalono, not pantalonoi. Similarly, you don't have to use binokloin, you can just use binoklon in order to see something. So the example sentence here is li portis binoklon por vidi birdojn. So he used a set of binoculars to see the birds. Binoklo is a subset or a type of what? A spyglass, a field glass that you would use to see something far off in the distance. What is the more general word for a spyglass? It is this: Lorno. Lorno is the word for a spyglass. Per Lorno li vidis foran, forlorn, princinon. I use this word picture. Think of an errant knight who sees his princess locked up in the tower and she's weeping and she's so forlorn, she's hopeless, and he sees her from afar by using his spyglass. So he sees her, she's because she's away, so she's also forlorn. And we use a lorn to see her. So that's one way to remember that Lorno is a spyglass. Another one that's maybe a little more adult or explicit, but I'm more interested in you remembering things than being super G-rated about things. I learned today that the word Lorno in English means a light porno or softcore pornography, like a real racy R-rated movie would be, where it's like, it's not NC-17, but it's pretty close. They're definitely implying that sex is happening here. So let's say your neighbor across the street on his big screen TV is watching a movie that, some movies have sex scenes, but this one, that's really intense. So you grab your spyglass and you're like, okay, what's he looking at there? So per Lorno, you could watch the Lorno. Or per Lorno li spectis lornan filmon. Don't ever use the word lornan. I'm just putting it in here to help you remember, because there's no word like Lorno that I know of in English that's in any way related to a spyglass. If the word was spyglasso, we would already be moved on by now. So Lorno, if the errant knight or your neighbor's weird viewing habits helps you, then remember it that way. Lorno is the word for a spyglass. And spyglass is sort of similar to what we would use to look up at the stars. What would we use for that? Teleskopo is a telescope. Again, you don't need help for those kind of words. Mikroskopo, microscope. Moving on. Microscope. Well, before we do something so drastic as use a microscope, what could we use? A simpler, more common tool around the house would be a magnifying glass. What's the word for a magnifying glass? Is it magnified glaso? No, it is not. It is unfortunately Lupeo. What in the world? I don't know. Here's how I remember that Lupeo is the word for a magnifying glass. I picture a giant magnifying glass so big, it appears to be the whole moon. Okay, so you look up at the moon, who's looking? A wolf looks up, it's a full moon, and starts howling, oh, and is transformed into a much larger, full man-sized werewolf. So la luno grandigas la lupon. It makes it big. It magnifies the wolf into being a full-blown werewolf. Oh. Where's the werewolf? Sort of like Where's Waldo? If you've seen a Where's Waldo book, what's on the cover? A magnifying glass going, you're going to have to look with a magnifying glass to find out where this guy is. He's so well hidden. Similarly, where's the werewolf? Use a lupeo to find that lupo. It's cheesy, but hopefully you can remember now. Lupeo is the word for a magnifying glass. And what do all of these have in them? They don't just have a standard piece of vitro. They have a special kind of vitro that's convex or concave. It's been a while since science class. It has a specially shaped piece of glass to enable close-up viewing or far-away viewing. And what is it? It's a lens. And the word in Esperanto, fortunately, is easy to remember. It's lenso. From that, we can get Kontaktolensoj, which is contact lenses. So in this one lesson, you're learning Okulvitroj and Kontaktolensoj. Either way, you can repair your vision with one of those two means. Note here, though, that lenso is the word for a specific and individual lens. But a lens that you would buy, let's say I'm using a 22mm prime lens on this camera right now. But I wouldn't say I bought a new Lenso. No, you would use the word Objektivo. Objektivo is the name for a lens device or a lens housing for a camera. The total object itself is that, because there's, I think, 7 or 8 different pieces of glass that comprise a lens itself. In English, we just say lens for the piece of glass and the whole housing unit that turns and has the motor inside of it and all that. But fortunately in Esperanto, we can be a bit more specific and say Objektivo. So look at it through objective lenses. Well, that's the word here. Objektivo is a lens. I'm going to probably do a lesson soon about camera words and camcorder words, so we can get more into that later, but just know that Lenso does not cover all your bases. Finally, we have the word spegulo, which is the word for a mirror, a looking glass. How do we remember that spegulo is the word for a mirror? Well, think of the classic Star Trek episode Mirror, Mirror, in which we visit the mirror universe, and everything's topsy-turvy. All the good guys are bad. And what's the most iconic image from the mirror universe? Probably be Spock with a goatee. Here he is, Spock, wearing a goatee, spegulo. Spegulo. And you can think of mirror universe Spock is a spegulo. He is a person characterized by his mirroriness and how he mirrors the normal Spock. It's a little silly, but I haven't forgotten it since thinking of that, so hopefully you won't either. Those are some glass words for you, and I think now glass is dismissed. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.